Hi, welcome to Learn English Wise. I'm Gustavo and I'm here to share with you proven strategies to help you achieve English fluency faster. In this video, we're going to be talking about why the traditional method of creating a word list with their translation doesn't work and what's the best way to memorize new words so that you don't forget them ever again. If you're watching this video, chances are you have already tried learning new words the traditional way, didn't you? And I ask you, how did it go? How did it work? Were you successful? Are you happy with the results? Do you think that's the best method to memorize and acquire new vocabulary? If you think that there's a better way to do it, just keep watching this video. And we could be doing a lot better just by understanding how our brain works. And how does our brain work? Well, it does work by associating and connecting new words and new pieces of information with things you already know, with previously learned information. That's exactly why trying to learn an individual word alone gives our brain a hard time, because you're not providing our brains with any other connections or any other way of associating this new piece of information with things you already know. It's 3 or 4 times harder to your brain to find that connection by himself in order to try to memorize this new piece of information you've just given it. So why don't we provide our brain with these connections in the first place? If you do that, it makes it 5-6 times easier for our brain to retain that new word or that new piece of information. You can do it straight away. That's why you should always memorize new words in a phrase, the whole phrase or the whole sentence, but never ever only the individual word. This way we help our brains out. We give our brains a way of storing that information easily and connecting this information with things you already know, creating a connection. So every piece of information, if associated with information you already know, it's easily remembered. Another benefit of learning the whole phrase and not just the individual word is that you already know how to use that word in the phrase within a context. That way you're a lot more likely to use this word when speaking next time without struggling to find where this word fits and what's the best way to use this word in this phrase in particular. By doing so, you kill 2 birds with a single stone. You not only learn the meaning of this new word, but you also know an example of how to use that word in a phrase. And there's another thing. Words are usually connected to certain words in a repetitive pattern. I'll show you an example. Let's take the word disregard, for instance. So disregard means pay no attention to, or disrespect, or ignore. Cool. So let's come up with 2. If you quickly Google the word disregard, it's very likely to pop up in your screen. Phrases like do not disregard the rules or do not disregard the law. So it's a lot more meaningful, the word disregard, within this sentence, and you're more likely to come across the word disregard within such context. Let's take this time the word demand. So demand means a desire of customers for a certain product or a particular service. Cool? So if you look that up, you might run into phrases like there's a growing demand for a certain industry, or there is a growing demand for new vehicles, or we have seen an increasing demand for new vehicles. So a word demand is very likely to be connected to words such as increasing demand or growing demand or decreasing demand. It makes more sense within this context. It's easier for our brain to remember that if it's within a context that makes sense, that's meaningful. Alright, now I know that I should learn words within a phrase and not only the individual word, but what do I do if I run into a word that I don't know? What do I do? How do I proceed? So, You write it down on a journal or piece of paper to later review, or you can make use of apps. That's what I personally do. So you just download an app and write down the whole phrase and highlight the word that you wanted to know the meaning of, and then you review later. And certain apps help you with a thing called spaced repetition. So a spaced repetition is a learning technique performed with flashcards. What it does is every time you review a flashcard or a word or a phrase, you rate that phrase as difficult, very difficult, or good, or very easy. And then based on your rating, it might take longer for that flashcard to be shown to you again. Let's say you've rated this phrase as very easy, so it might take you longer to be displayed to you again. So whereas if you rated it very hard, it might take only a couple of days and the app's gonna show you again that flashcard. So the one that I've been using for over a decade now is called ANKI, ANKI. So you can look it up on your Play Store, but I'll leave a link in the description for the ANK website. Pretty easy to use, straightforward. You're gonna like it. And again, the most important thing of it all is to implement these strategies. Act on it. Don't just search for videos on how to learn vocabulary, how to get better at things, how to learn faster, better, and just keep on searching videos about these topics, but never act on it, never do anything, never go out and really practice the strategy you learn. That's the most important thing. If you don't act on it, if you don't apply, it doesn't mean anything. You won't get better, period. And that was it for today's video, guys, and I'm very confident that you can now improve your vocabulary much faster with this technique. And I really want to know, how have you been learning words to this day? Leave me a comment below telling what you've been doing to learn words up to today and what do you think of it. Tell me what you think. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.